Normally I do in-depth reviews of dot grid notebooks, like the one I did for the Travelers Company. I have an in-depth review of this particular notebook and the inserts. But as a bit of a change, I decided to review brands that looked at distinct styles of journal that might be hard for people to find. So I've covered B5 journals, square journals, I've covered blackout paper, and I've covered craft paper. And this is the final installment in that series, looking at travelers' size journals because they are quite popular as well. Unfortunately, I can't do my usual filming outside today. It is incredibly windy, and even my fuzzy microphone is not capable of coping with the noise that would occur if I filmed outside. I'm Ruby from the Useful Journal. When we think of travelers' notebooks, we usually think of the leather cover with the inserts that are either stapled or sewn, and they're held in by a combination of string or elastics into that cover. And typically you can hold 1 to 3 inserts in your cover. The inserts can have different purposes. So one might have your weekly calendar, one might be more focused around a budget, and a third one might be just for your notes or maybe even sketching. And they're very widely available all around the world. Because of that popularity, many other brands have created their own covers and inserts that pretty much copy the system. In addition to that, some brands have adopted the size of the traveller's notebook. This one is 11 centimeters across. Well, the inserts, I'll show you the insert. The inserts are 11 centimeters across and 21 centimeters long. In inches, that is 4 1/3 inches by 8 1/4 inches. And what they've done is added a hardcover to it. It's pretty much the same as getting a hardcover A5 journal, it's just a bit narrower. Starting with the direct alternatives to Travelers Company, so where you have a reusable cover filled with inserts that are held in by some kind of mechanism, whether it be elastic or clips or whatever else. I would just like to add here that the originals, many of their inserts are made from Midori MD paper, which I have found to be one of the highest quality papers that I've ever tried. So if you step away from the Travelers Company brand, just be aware that the paper might not be the same quality. But if you do want to try something different, I'm going to give you a few brands to check out, and they are more likely to have decorative covers, which Travelers Company tends to lean towards a plainer card craft paper cover. The Notebook Therapy Hinoki journal is 11 by 21 centimeters and is delivered with 3 inserts, one each of dot grid, ivory, grid ivory, and a plain craft paper, and they are all 150 GSM paper. They have a stitched binding. Notebook Therapy doesn't tell us how many pages the inserts have, and they don't have refills available separately from the cover unless you want a pink one and a weekly planner. You could always use inserts from other brands inside the Hinoki cover. Paper Penguin Co. from the UK sells inserts that are 40 pages of 90 GSM paper in a range of paper colours, including white. They have a huge range of colour options available, and you can also choose your marking. They do have dot grid, and they have coloured papers with dot grid. Carpe Diem from the US has travelers notebooks that come with 2 inserts, one with blank paper and one with lined paper, but you can buy a 2-pack of dot grid inserts. The dot grid inserts have a 4mm dot grid on 100 GSM white paper and have 48 pages each. Note that the Carpe Diem cover and inserts are just slightly wider than the Travelers Company brand. So if you do buy the inserts to use inside a Travelers Company cover, they might sit or even project beyond that cover because they are a centimetre or two wider. Wild Wicks have Wild Dory inserts with beautiful printed craft covers to fit the original sized Traveller's Notebook cover, which is 11 by 21 centimetres, but they pretty much all have blank paper with only a couple of lined paper versions. The covers are gorgeous though. They are all Australian native flowers and I adore them. They have 80 pages of 80 GSM paper. The most diverse place to look for brands selling Traveller's Notebook inserts is Etsy. It can be hard to find much range elsewhere. For instance, the Stinson Paper Company from the US sells 5 packs of inserts with 100 GSM paper in white or cream, and there's all sorts of options for the markings on the page, including dot grid. The inserts have 60 pages. Yellow Paper House on Etsy in the US has inserts with coloured paper marked with different variations of dot grid. For instance, you can choose between 5mm or 3mm grids, and they have 48 pages of 90 GSM paper. This brand is worth a look actually because they have a huge range of colours and layouts. If you're really keen, there's quite a few brands to check out on Etsy. I've only just touched the surface here. If you'd rather a hardcover journal, but you prefer it in the Traveller's size, then there's a few brands that you should check out. Archer and Olive include a standard Traveller's size notebook in most of their journal releases. They have 160 GSM white paper only with 144 pages. Note they don't usually offer Traveller's size when it's a special release journal like their blackout notebooks. Hemlock and Oak from Canada has hardcover dot grid journals that are 11 by 21 centimetres with 160 pages of 150 GSM white paper. Notebook Therapy is much the same. They have several versions of a hardcover Traveller's size notebook that has 144 pages of 150 GSM paper. The paper is cream and also available in craft paper, and they're both marked with a dot grid. If watercolour painting is your thing, My Mellow Days has a Traveller's size notebook that has 160 GSM cold pressed ivory coloured watercolour paper marked with a sepia toned dot grid and 144 pages. The Jotting Dots from India has hardcover Traveller's size notebooks with 160 pages of white 160 GSM paper in a range of cover colours. Taroko Shop on Etsy has a Traveller's size notebook that has 68 GSM dot grid Tomoe River paper made by Sanzen. That's the new manufacturer, and there's endless discussion online about how the quality of the paper compares to the original manufacturer. It is targeted at fountain pen users. There's 192 pages of white paper. Moleskin's standard line of dotted notebooks have an unusual size that falls somewhere in between a Traveller's size and A5 at 13 by 21 centimetres. So same height but 2 centimetres wider. I thought I'd mention it because it might suit some of you. It has 70 GSM ivory coloured paper and 240 pages. I hope this range has given you enough choices to think about if you're interested in this size of notebook. This is the end of my series on specialist notebooks, and I hope you found it interesting to see the brands that sell B5, square, traveler's size notebooks, and notebooks with either blackout or craft paper. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments if there's any kind of notebook that you're having trouble finding and you'd like me to do some research on. You never know, I might add it to this series. See ya!